So guys, welcome to the stage this evening, Mr. Tyrome Turner.
All right, well, thank you. So on June 28th, 1947, in a town called Bastrop, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes outside of Monroe, about 2.5 hours north of New Orleans, my father and master was born, James Turner Jr. If you asked him who he is, he'd say a father, mountain man, and Marine, probably in that order. Now, I know you say everybody knows what a father is, what a Marine is, but a mountain man. So a mountain man, and well, first of all, do we got any mountain men in here? Okay, maybe not. I know I got one, because my son is out here, so I know I got at least one in here. But anyway, we come from a people that live off the land. Mountain men are historically resilient, very strong. Some have freakishly strong. We are hunters, fishermen, and usually because we come from a tougher environment, we're pretty wise. So going into the lesson, the first lesson I remember that my master taught me was how to make a bed. I know that's a crazy memory to think about. So I was about 4, maybe 5 years old. So he said, "Hey, time for you to make your bed." I'm like, "Okay." He was like, "No, you're gonna make it and make it to pass inspection." I'm like, "Inspection?" He was like, "Yeah, in the Marine Corps, I had to pass an inspection every day when I made my bed, and you're gonna have to do the same." And I'm like, "All right." I mean, So he says, "I'm gonna show you exactly what to do, and I pay attention." I said, "Okay." Every tuck, every fold, every crease, every pull, as he smooths it out. You're watching, you're paying attention, you're getting it. Yes, I got it. So, all right, you saw all that, you know what to do. Of course, when I said, "Yep." So he took everything off the bed, and he said, "Now it's your turn." I made this bed in probably a minute, and I looked over, done. He looked at me and said, "Do you think that passes inspection?" And I said, "No." So he said, "Okay, let's do it again. Take everything off, start over." This time I may have took 2 minutes. He looked at me again, didn't scowl, didn't yell, said, "You think that passes inspection?" I said, "No." He said, "Okay." So after about 5, 6 more times of this, he says, "Hey, son, stop, wait a minute." He said, "Do you remember what I showed you?" "Yes." "Do you understand what to do?" "Yes." He said, "Take your time so you can pass inspection." So I make this bed, and as I'm doing it, I'm saying the steps he gave me, and I'm like, okay. So I get done. Before I say I'm done, I look at it. I gave it another little smooth out, make sure everything is tight, and I say, I'm done. He said, "Congratulations, you passed the inspection." And I said, "Whew." I say, "Why would you even want to join any place that would make you want to pass an inspection for making your bed?" And he looked at me, he said, "Well, son, I was 18 and they were going to draft me to go into the Army. They were going to send me to Vietnam. So I said, if I got to go, I'm going to be trained by the best, like my father and my grandfather, who were both wartime Marines." And he makes that distinction, just so you guys know. There are people, he said, "Hey, I'm a wartime Marine." And my father came back a decorated veteran. He actually lost a finger in service to the country, and he was wounded over 15 times from bullets and shrapnel. So when he says he's a mountain man, he's for real. He's for real. So I'll go fast forward. This is 1982. I'm 11 years old. Number one brother under me is 8, sister is 2. Father, mother call us to the dinner table and say, "Hey, we want to let y'all know we're getting a divorce." I'm like, "What? A divorce?" I mean, my heart dropped. I mean, as far as I was concerned, we lived like the Cosbys. And I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" And, I'm agitated. My brother is kind of, he's there. My sister, she's 2, so she doesn't know what's going on. So we had this talk about, hey, everybody's still going to be all right, blah, blah, blah. Send us to our rooms. Telling my brother, I say, "This is crazy." I was like, "I'm going back downstairs." So I go back down and say, "Hey, I want to go, or we go back down. Hey, I want to go with Daddy. Brother says the same thing. They say, hey, we're going to work this out. This is not for us to talk about today. We'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. Send us on back to our room. So fast forward, the good thing is both parents wanted us. So we had to go to court, talk to the judges, talk to the psychiatrists or psychologists. They asked us questions. I don't know how many people have been through this, but they asked us questions. At the end of the day, they said, you know what? Both your parents are fit. And this is the judge telling us this in court. Both your parents are fit. We don't think it's in your best interest to take you away from your mother. That doesn't mean anything with your father. So, and it crushed my old man. It crushed him. We were Daddy's kids. Loved and adored our mother, but we were Daddy's kids. So Dad moves out. It was the most difficult time in my life up to this, and I'm 53, because it wasn't the same. And what my master, I pray everything good happened to me was because of him. I got shoes, the sunshine, whatever it was because of him. That's just how much I adored him, and that's just the way it was. So consequently, this bad thing is happening. And I blamed him. And, in my youth, anger, disillusion, sad, our relationship was strained. Didn't change, it was strained because me blaming him, I asked him questions that I had no business asking. I vented my anger in his direction. Now, to his credit, he never scowled, he never yelled, he never popped me, which he probably could have and should have, but none of that stuff happened. What he did do, he sat me down, he said, listen, son, I understand. He was like, but hey, the saying we got in the Marine Corps is we blaze a path for others to follow. So what you're going to do is face what is, not what you wish it was or what you wish it would be. Fact of the matter is, me and your mom aren't going to be together. That does not change yours and our relationship. I will always be your father. You will always be my son. Now, your job is to blaze a path for your brother and sister. You will be the man of the house. You have to lead and protect. It's not fair, but it is what it is. But he said, but the good thing is, your father, I'm going to be with you every step of the way. You will not be alone. So I talk to my father every day, most of the time twice a day. He gave me books to read. This man quizzed me like nobody's business, and when I didn't have the right answers, well, go back to chapter 2 and read chapter 2 again. Go back to the, gave me all these scenarios, but what he taught me through this divorce is how to persevere and how to face what's in front of you. And I'll be forever grateful that he and I together got through. It was definitely the most difficult part of my life. I think it'll be in his top 5. Him going to war and seeing things nobody should have to see is totally different. But that was a lesson that I learned to persevere and to push forward. Thank you. So now, I'm 13, kind of feeling myself a little bit, and my father was a stickler for how we talked. You will use the King's English in his house. You say something in the wrong context or use the wrong word. Hey, what is that you said? Say that again. What is that? What did that word mean? And, for the youngsters in here, we didn't have Alexa, Google, or Siri back then. I had to go get a dictionary. And my father had 4 of them. He had 4 different versions, and we had an encyclopedia. So I made the dreaded mistake. I used the N-word. And my father said, whoa, hey, what are you doing? First of all, why are you using that word? I'm like, well, I heard it on TV. People use it. He said, what does that word mean? Now, again, never yelled at me, but he was just firm. What does that mean? I gave him some half answer. He's like, go get the dictionaries. Go get the encyclopedia. And I want you to come back when you know what that word means. So, I looked it up and jotted a couple of things down and went back and forth with it. So I finally come and said, hey, Here's what it means, so on and so forth. And he said, well, that's part of it. He said, but what you don't have, what those books can't teach you is context. They can't teach you the context of why or what that word really means. He said, I'll tell you in the best example I can give you at this age that you'll understand. That word means less than. Everything is less than. And he started talking to me about history, slavery, and everything else. And he said, is that a word that you think you should use? And I said, absolutely not, and I have not used it since. So, my master is always teaching a lesson. And, some people, my friends used to always ask me, well, why do you call him your master? Because I tell them these stories, these interactions. I say, well, I was, and my friends same age, I say, hey, when we go to see Kung Fu movies and Star Wars, it was the master and the apprentice. And he's the master, and I was the dedicated apprentice, because if he said it, I believed it. And I had that much faith and confidence in my father that if he said it, I believed it. Now, mind you, I can't say I was the perfect son. Like every other kid, I kind of disobeyed and I got my little lumps. But in general, I was a good kid. So we talked about words matter, right? So one day he comes and gets me after school. He said, hey, all right, have you eaten? I said, no, I haven't eaten yet. He said, let's go grab something to eat. So he takes me over to the Ham Palace. I don't know if anybody's ever been there or if they're even still open, but they used to be on Michigan Avenue. And they had a ham sandwich that was about this big for like $5. Like really 3 or 4 people could eat. And me and him split it. And while we were eating, we're in the car eating, and he said, hey, do you know why people make mistakes? And I'm like, no. This is where all the questions and the tones he gave me. I said, not really. He said, hey, because they're not good at math. I was like, well, what's math got to do with somebody making a mistake? He said, what are pros? He said, think about it in math. I said, well, pluses. What are cons, minuses? I said, well, people that aren't necessarily good in math, they don't do the arithmetic. He said, when you're looking at life and making decisions, you should look at pros and cons. And if the cons outweigh the pros, that should tell you you're going the wrong direction. Now he said math can be manipulated, but in general, if you do math the right way, you'll never be wrong. Now, isn't that a great life lesson? Life is math. So again, this is my master teaching. And I didn't realize it at the time, but these are all lessons just preparing me for life. So, got the life is math. So let's fast forward to March 28th, 2002. My son, Tyrome Jr., is born. My father comes down to the hospital. He dotes over his first grandson. And, I think he even asked, is it okay if I kiss him? Because we're like, yeah, whatever. So he stayed for a little bit. He said, hey, you mind walking me out? So as I'm walking him out, he said, hey, you know what your job now is, right? I said, yeah, take care of my family. He's like, yeah, that's part of it. And I said, well, what are you getting at, Pop? Because I got to get back upstairs, so on and so forth. He said, hey, your job now is to take what I've taught you, put that with what you've learned, and make better decisions for TJ. And I said, oh, Pop, you did good. I said, hey, he said, no parent is perfect. He said, I have no disillusions that I was the perfect parent, but I did what every parent is supposed to do, the best that they can. So he said, you take what I learned, what you learned from me, with what you learned, and you make sure my grandson is ready. So we go to, TJ is about 12, and the 3 of us are having a boys' day out, and we're driving in the car, and he said, hey, grandson, you know why math is so important? He said, yes, Granddad. He said, well, I want to hear it. He said, because life is math. He said, hey, where'd you learn that from? And he said, Dad taught me. And he said, where do you think your father got it from? He said, he told me you taught him, Granddad. And these are the interactions. So not only taught me, teaches my kids. Now, he's going to be 77 next Friday on the 28th. Thank you. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here He had some health problems and just went home today. He called me at like 5:15, said, hey, I escaped. I say, escape? He said, yeah, escape captivity, I'm going home. But I want to leave you with these things about my master. Again, he taught me that words matter, and they do. They matter even more now for the young people, because for the young people in here, you can say or do something that will be forever captured on Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever. So words matter. He taught me that life is math. That if you're good at math, if you build a strong foundation in math, you can be successful. Matter of fact, he said that there are millionaires that are illiterate, but you can't be a thousandaire if you can't add and subtract. So let that set in. He taught me that his way was not necessarily the only way. That you take what you know, combine it, take what you've been taught with what you've learned, and make better choices. He taught me that it's a father's duty to have a great relationship with their kids. Because again, he's got boys, 3 boys, 1 girl, and he's got relationships with us all. We all talk to him, 3-4 times a week at end. But lastly, I'm honoring my father because he has been the greatest teacher I've had the experience of dealing with. And he's been my teacher for 53 years. So I love you, Pop. Thank you. He's going to be mad when he sees this because he don't like attention. And I was going to bring him here, and I didn't tell him what it was, but he got sick. So I'm going to watch this with him, and I might get a pinch or a thump. But I'll be all right. But thank you, everybody.